Hello everyone. Welcome to the first video in this series on a 5-out offense for basketball. In this video, we are simply going to take a look at a basic setup for a 5-out offense and the basic rules that you would apply in this offense. As I progress through this series, we'll talk about other things you can do with and without the basketball, but for this video, just the basics. So first of all, you can see the traditional 5-out offense set up here, which I don't actually abide by. I'll go by that in a second. But it's called 5-out because of exactly what you see here, right? There's 5 players that are outside of the perimeter, right? So if this is a three-point line right here, all 5 players are outside of that three-point line and none of them are inside the three-point line. So 5-out offense. Why would you want to use this offense? In general, you'd want to use this offense if you don't really have anyone who's a dominating big down low. If you did have one of those or 2 of those, I would recommend using a 4-out, 1-in offense. You can look at my other videos for that. But if you have a relatively small team or even just a team that really can shoot well from the outside but can't really play well down low, I recommend the 5-out offense for that. So here are our 5 players outside of the arc in a pretty standard formation. However, like I said earlier, this is not how I would want my players to be set up. I tend to like there to be a little bit of space for my player with the ball to drive if possible. Okay, so I wouldn't want 2 players on either side of my player with the ball. Instead, I would have my one bring up the ball on one side of the court, and whatever side of the court he brings that up, I'd want 3 players on the other side of the court and 1 player on that side of the court. Why? Well, as he gets closer here, now he has a pretty large lane here to work with. If he could beat his defender off the dribble, we'd want him to do that. We'll get much more into that later on in this series, but I wanted to show the basic setup for that as well. While we're here, looking at the numbers, these numbers in this offense, they're pretty interchangeable. The only one that really matters is obviously you'd want your best ball handler bringing the ball up. But the 2, 3, 4, and 5, they don't have to be, the 4 and 5 do not have to start in the corner. The 2 and 3 don't have to start near the free throw line extended. Those numbers are all interchangeable. Really just first people down the court start in the corners and the next people come down to the three-point line. Okay, on the other side, if the one brings the ball up the right side here, and we can have the spacing to be on the left side here. So now, again, we have that driving space here if we want it, okay? As we move throughout that series here, and we can see what we do with the ball, every time the ball gets moved, which, again, we're not going to get into today, but later on, if the ball gets moved over here, okay, and the one's going to do some cutting through, which, again, we'll get to later on today, we'd want that one to kind of cut through to one side, and then we can move that 3. He can dribble over here to create more spacing. The big key in this is spacing. Spacing, spacing, spacing. And if the ball is at the top, that's fine. We can have the ball at the top. Maybe these 2 guys in the wings just sink down a little bit lower then to give that space here. All right, you really don't want to have 2 guys too close together ever. Okay, then we don't have the ability to do backdoor cuts or screens, and we would give the defense the opportunity to guard 2 players with 1 defender, which we really don't want to do. Okay. The other thing we want to talk about today is cuts. We'll go into much more detail later on, but when we do cuts, whether it's off a screen or if it's just backdoor cutting or anything at all, we want to make sure that our cut comes with a purpose. Okay, our cuts should either be to try to get the ball in a shooting position, to get the ball going to the basket, or if nothing else, take a defender with us to clear out a lane. Okay, and we always want to cut with some type of purpose in mind, and those purposes will be pretty clear by the end of this series. Okay, and then the last thing we want to talk about here is just dribbling in general. We don't want to be a dribbling team in this offense. The only time you're going to dribble is if you are going to beat your man off of a dribble. Okay, so if we go back to that setup that we had a little bit ago here. Okay, so if this one can take this man off the dribble, that's great. And we'll get into dribble penetration in a later video. But that's really the only time we'd want to dribble. Okay, Okay, the worst thing we could do is dribble the ball here once or twice and pick up our dribble. Now we just eliminated one of our three things that we can do with the ball. When you have the ball, you can pass, shoot, or dribble. Once you've dribbled and picked up your dribble, you just eliminated one of those three things. Now your only options are the pass or shoot. And if the defense is smart, they're going to guard you pretty tight there, limiting your chance of shooting, so you're going to have to end up passing the ball. So that's going to be it for this video. You can look for my next videos that come out shortly. Basically, we'll go through all the things that you can do with and without the ball in this offense. But really, the big things of this offense that we talked about today: keep your spacing at all times, cut with a purpose at all times, and limit the dribbling to only drive to the basket. All right? Thank you very much for watching this video today. Hope to see you again soon.